Ah, ha, ha. That is a little something we've been working on in the studio. I don't think we even have a title for that yet. That came out of a jam a couple of weeks back, and that's how a lot of songs start. Some of the best songs start that way. All right, tonight we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about BMI versus ASCAP versus CSAC in terms of collecting American royalties, but we're going to talk also about other things that are also important about marketing your music. And here's a guy that knows a shit ton about marketing stuff. I mean, this guy is a walking branding tool. That's right. He's a walking branding tool. And I swear he does have the Midas touch when it comes to some of this stuff. He is my co host, Sean McKenna, the co host with the most from the East Coast. Sean McKenna, co host and host of the podcast Barstools and Band Talk Rim Shots with Sean. Here he is.
And you're picking up, man, because the shameless self promotion with your own tunes at the beginning. Well played.
So that's something that we started writing in the studio, and I actually just looped it to get the full 2 minutes. So I took a minute out of the session with no vocals because the vocals when we write a song are really unintelligible. Like I make up words as I go along, and it's just to try and put placeholders for where the lyrics might go in the holes in the music. And it's interesting how that changes because as the bass player and the drummer, figure out what groove they want to play and how they want to get the rhythm section going, it's amazing where it morphs to.
Well, yeah. So I my all time favorite way of putting songs together is just that. Getting in a room and kind of jamming it out. And I'm a very systems guy. Like if you were to hang out with me, you would go like, "Yeah, sure you are." But when it comes to that, I'm a systems guy. I like to jam something, take it away, and listen to it, and put the polish on it after the fact, and come back. So yeah, I get that for sure.
And even then, if you were recording it with me and a couple other guys, you would probably change your behavior every time we play it because when we record here in the studio, everything's recorded live off the floor.
Right.
So we
Uh,
don't need any dubs or overdubs on it. We just wait until everybody's satisfied that they've got a performance on there that they're happy with.
Yeah, I love interviewing people and talking about studio because a lot of people don't realize how humbling the studio experience can be. Like you're in there, and I'll take drums as an example. You do a part and you think, man, this is just a smoking part, and then you go back and you listen to it and you go, what was I thinking?
Yeah. When you hear the isolated drum track
Uh,
and then you put it along with the isolated bass track, all of a sudden, okay, what the fuck's going on here?
well, I tell you what, I talked about this during the whole lockdown thing. I geeked out on isolated tracks. I found one about 2 months ago. It was Iron Maiden, Wasted Years, and it was just the bass and the drums. And if you hear the finished product, it sounds pretty tight. But what they went with the finished product and bass and drums, there were some flubs in there that they left, which is stuff that you don't really hear anymore because everybody's worried about perfection as opposed to the human element.
Right. I got something I want to show you tonight. I got it's kind of an unpacking. I did kind of the I cheated a little bit on the unpack. This is from our friends at Boiler Beach from Kincardine, Ontario, and it's a T-shirt. I felt it, and I knew it was a T-shirt. But home, oh man, Terry. I think it was it had to be Terry. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm not sure who actually packaged it, but there is a shit ton of packing tape on this package.
That's the
Um,
way my grandmother, Annie Frances Nolan used to from in Cape Breton when she used to send Christmas presents. Man, you needed some sort of sandblaster to get the thing open. There was so much tape on it.
so we're gonna take the T-shirt out of the envelope and drummer, give us a drum roll, please. Oh, there we are. What do we got? Let's see this. This is a nice T-shirt. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Certified Boiler Beach.
I don't. Is there a beach in Kincardine? I don't remember. I played there before. Is there a beach there?
There's a beautiful white sandy beach in Kincardine.
Okay.
When our kids were little, Michelle and I used to take the kids up there and build sandcastles with them, man.
I played there Christmas Day, 1993. I don't remember the bar. I just remember that we were staying in Toronto and we got up early and drove. And when we got there, the bar was packed.
Yeah, Kincardine is quite a ways north so from if you're in the U.S. that would be the east shore
Yep.
of Lake Huron, and it's past Grand Bend. If you guys have ever heard of Grand Bend, it's the party capital of Ontario. It used to always be for the live music in the summer down at the beach, and then you've got Grand Bend, which is north of that, and then you got Kincardine.
Yeah, we used to play what we used to refer to as the OHL circuit, right? And then we go off the beaten path a little bit, but
right,
always a good time.
Right. Yeah, so I'm a certified Boiler Beach bum. Boiler Beach, by the way, has a new single that came out, "My Own Way," and it's doing pretty good already. I think it's up over 1,000 streams already. It was just released on the 23rd. I think ours has picked up some momentum as well. We had other releases. Jeremy Ober with Brutal Republic had a new song that was released as well. And George Millette has a new tune out there, "Let's Get On It." And that was in the background of this week's reel for the show.
Nice.
So when I do reels for the show, it's rare that I'll choose a mainstream artist music. I usually choose an artist off our label, and then I take a section from the song as the background. And now you can do that as reels, because all of our artist music can be used on reels on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, all those great places. So you can even get artists like our friend Michelle Ryder. You can get her music on those services, and you can use it as your background music for making reels. So
that's actually really cool because I did one today. I did a little teaser before everything. I don't know what happened to my socials today. They're getting fixed, but I did couple of little pictures from the video shoot that was done a couple of weeks ago for the new single, and I used I don't remember what song I used. Oh, it was maybe "Holy Diver" or "Rainbow in the Dark" by Dio or something like that. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah, "Lost on You" is the new single out by Brutal Republic. A great freaking rock sort of sultry blues tune. If you've never heard Jeremy Ober in Brutal Republic, you owe it to yourself. Go to our website, listen to it for free, and tell me if you don't agree that this guy is a great singer, songwriter, guitar player. There's a whole album up there that was released previously. And of course, we got our friend George Millette. He has "Let's Get On It." It just came out as a single, and he's got an album previously released on the label as well. Green Ink's "Wait and See." "My Own Way" by Boiler Beach. So lots of great music. And of course, before that, "I'd Hide a Body for You" by Brent Durner's My Wicked Twin.
Brent just sent me. I was on a Zoom call with a couple of my I'll say bandmates from the day. We're going to do a reunion show here in Halifax in July. But as I was wrapping the call up, Brent sent me an email. He did an AI tester for a video that was pretty cool. So I get to get back to him on that. But it was really neat.
Brent says hi, and Greg Sinclair says yo.
Sup.
So thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. If you got a question about some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, feel free to fire it away in the chat room. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. Here's an interesting thing that came up more recently for me. So historically in our metadata and in most ID3 metadata programs, they do not publish the ISWC, which is an international code for the actual work itself. So the written work that you would register with SOCAN here in Canada. And if you're using one of their affiliates, you would be registering it with CSAC or BMI or ASCAP, ASCAP, right?
Great. So it's spelled the same way it sounds.
Like an ASCAP. I mean, cap your ass, boy.
Yeah.
So these are performance rights organizations. They collect strictly performance rights, but they also collect royalties based on where the published work is actually being used. So the called an ISWC belongs to the written work or the actual song itself, the composition. And when you register it with a performance rights organization, you can choose several different ways of doing that. And if you have other co-writers or other people that own publishing rights to the song, you can actually do your shares right there with them. So if they get a 25% share of your royalties because of their writing credits or whatever, then you can assign that royalty to them, and you don't have to worry about collecting their portion of the royalties. They'll just automatically get it.
Which is handy because you never want somebody coming back after you 30 years down the road, right?
No, I mean, and some people don't do it that way for simplicity's sake, and they already have really great agreements with other artists that they work with.
Right.
And those agreements have been in place for so long that, it's like everybody says, a contract is only as good as the paper it's printed on.
Absolutely. And I mean, and then again, sometimes that's not even the case. If you go to small claims court or whatever, it's a contract is as good as the judge understands it, I think is a better way to put it.
Yeah, and then it ends up becoming such legal jargon. And you and I were recently through that, reviewing a contract.
Yeah.
And going, I got, I don't know, 4 or 5 sentences into it, and all of a sudden there's all this legal jargon in there, right? And you'd need 3 lawyers and a donkey to explain it all to you.
I think it's just designed. It's the brown M&Ms on the Van Halen rider where they want to throw you off and see if you're actually reading the contract, right?
Yeah, or force you to sign something that is nefarious, and you're actually giving away a bunch of rights.
Yeah, because I had yet another conversation with somebody yesterday talking about traditional record deals, and they were talking about how they'd love to have a traditional record deal, and I just made the comment, well, why don't you just go get a bank loan? What do you mean? I said, it's the exact same thing. They don't, I unless you've had one, and I can tell you a really quick funny story. I was in a band that had one, and we got some money to do a demo, and myself and one of the other guys at the band, to pay the money back on the demo, had to work at the C&E one summer to pay back the money that we owed. So it's not free money, kids. It never was. It never will be.
Well, and especially if it's 100% recoupable.
Right.
Right. Recoupable means that's a very important word in any contract. If something is recoupable, find out to which percentage it's recoupable. Because if it's 100% recoupable, and it could be 100% recoupable with compound interest.
Well, yes, and a bunch of artists have found that.
Because it's a loan. Nobody's going to give you money for free. If a label's going to advance you $100,000, that's $100,000 plus interest from the day you start digging into that advance. It's like a line of credit. As soon as you start digging into it, the interest is going on it. And if you're not making regular payments, paying down that paying that recoupable back, that interest racks up really, really fast. I've heard of bands losing their whole tour because of interest that stacked up on advances, and it ate up all their tour money.
Well, and that, somebody made the comment to me the other day, a traditional label would have a lot of people on their network that could get you on a tour and it's like, yes, but if you think they're paying you or paying for you to be on the tour, no, you're paying for it.
Right.
Another good friend of mine that used to work for a lot of bands, he was telling me one time about a band that he was working for, and somebody was demanding white socks. I'll get them. And it was like, they're paying for them. They don't think they are, but they're paying for them. So what the heck, right? I'll go get them the white socks. It's just you gotta look into this stuff, man. It's a business. Yeah, it's supposed to be fun, but it's a business.
And for like an artist that orders hot towels,
yeah,
everything's charged down to the hot towel.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Like if it's $5 a hot towel and he needs 10 hot towels during the show, that's $50 right there.
Well, and there's so many Hey, I'll get it out there. I'm a Mapex artist. So what does that mean? That means Mapex supports me. Mapex takes care of me. Is it free stuff? Nothing's free. And one of the reasons why, somebody went to bat for me and helped me get that deal lined up. But I promote Mapex like crazy. And part of what these companies do, if they're going to partner with you, is they want to see that reciprocal, um, uh, you know, promotion. And at the end of the day, I have conversations with Mapex all the time about what's sold in what market that I'm in and whatnot. And
Right.
that's important stuff. And people don't understand that. They just think it's free and I get free stuff and move on. And you just basically signed a deal to sell stuff. Is what you did.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the meat of this because I want to get a little bit further into the meat of the topic tonight at hand. Before I do, I want to say something, and it's related to socials. It's related to what happens in social media. For example, um, someone has helped me with my Instagram
Yeah.
account.
Yeah.
And that person that's helping with my Instagram account said to me, you got like 1,000 followers on your old Instagram account, but I started going through all those accounts that are following you, and some of them aren't even active.
Yeah.
And
That's a very real thing.
none of them ever interact with any of your content. None of them even so much as like any of your comment, or they don't even comment on your content.
So Greg Sinclair will back me up, and he'll maybe put some comments. Greg and I talked about this a lot before about how what you get in terms of support in the music business, right? And what have you, and with your peers and your friends and Greg would say oftentimes, I go on and I like people's posts and I share them, and nobody does the same thing with mine, and it's true that happens, and those would be, I guess we'll call them the fair weather fans or the fair weather friends or whatever. Um, and it's very important on YouTube, as an example. If somebody clicks on for like a split second on your video, that's a view. But if they don't spend time, if they click and move on, you get basically rated in a couple of different ways. One's the views, but the bigger part is the duration of when they're on there, because that's when advertisers will notice you and know that they can run ads on your platform. So views is one thing, and so it's there's so many things, like you were saying, stagnant fans or stagnant followers. I mean, really, yeah, you got numbers in one sense, but you're dragging a whole lot of people around because they're not doing a lot.
Yeah, and so she said, you know what? Let's suspend your account and start up another account, a fresh account, and let's get you real followers. Right? Let's get you people that are interested in interacting with you, that are interested in interacting with your content, have something in common with you. And uh, she's helping me put some of those feelers out there, but she's got some interesting people who are following her in the entertainment industry now.
Mhm.
Because of the work that she does as a publicist. So that 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 is a really really cool segue into this part of the episode when we're going to talk about the impact of social media upon digital music sales, for
Mhm.
example.
Mhm.
So social media is extremely important, and there is a definite correlation between social media and digital music sales. And there's a lot of research and data that backs that up.
So before you get into all that, you have to
Yeah.
figure out who and what you are, and you got to figure out what you're trying to put out there, right? Um,
Yeah.
there's nothing more frustrating, and I say this all the time. I went on today. I was joking around with a couple guys. There's a video of this band. They were over in Sweden or something, doing a version of the Final Countdown by Europe. It's the funniest thing you're ever going to see in your life. I mean, the timing's off. The singer can't sing. It got something like 3 million views. And I'm sitting there going, wow. And obviously, people are making fun of them, which is really sad because I come to find out they were a bunch of school kids and what have you. But, you know, they that's the fluky part of social media, right? That's the people want the mind numbing. They want to escape their life and what's going on. So they want to look at that stuff. If you're doing it as a business, you got to figure out who you are and what you are and how to target that audience.
I mean, here is such an easy thing about that correlation between social media and your digital music sales. You've got people on there that put themselves on there as an artist, they put themselves on there as a band or whatever, but their only interaction with their would-be audience is all about their music.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple key indicators too that as I get to jump into different tutorials and what have you, if you see somebody that has, say, 1 million followers and they're following no one, um, that's a pretty good indication that they don't really care what you're doing. They just want you to support them. So, trying to interact with them is probably pretty useless because they're just kicking out content, hoping that something sticks. The true networking side of things is when you find somebody they're doing it almost 50-50 because they're sharing things, and if they have a big network and they're following other people almost at the same rate, those are people that you want to talk to because they're willing to share what you're doing.
Here's a great comment from Greg. People will go like your page, then unfollow, or they will give you excuses like their like. I think their like is important, so they can't just throw it around. We have thousands of dead followers that do not interact, and it's almost like that. It's like you're not worthy of my like.
Yeah, that's the that's yeah. He makes a very good point, and he makes a solid point, which I totally agree with. And I don't even know where to start with that because you can kind of see it within some of your own interactions with people. And it can be as little as you go out and support somebody at a show, but they never come out to your show, and then that translates over to socials. Um, at the end of the day, you got to focus on the people that are really supporting you. And I mean, if you got 12 million people as followers and 2,500 are doing something, well, hey, focus on the 2,500. Those are the ones that are going to get stuff done for you.
Terry Marsh is watching us, so I got to put this up there. Hey, Terry, thanks for the shirt, man. And also he says, that's you. Ooh.
It's what?
It's you, EW.
You. Oh.
Yeah, I think it means yucky, when that happens,
Ooh.
when people do that. It's like they don't want to throw their likes around.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. That to me is just I I talk about this a lot on my own personal page where for whatever reason, and it's I don't think it's any worse in the music business than the other industry,
Hey,
but it
Terry
just
says it's gross.
well, I don't know why people sort of view it as a sign of weakness if you support somebody. That's just crazy. Um, there's a gentleman here in Halifax that's going to be getting a nod at the Junos for he was a musician who turned into a lawyer, and he helped bands like Sloan and Thrush Hermit and what have you get signed and help them out with all their litigation. And he's getting recognized as a guy that helped a lot of bands, and he was a musician that maybe he was making money, but he did a lot of missionary work too, right? And I just don't understand why people have this whole my like's important, I'm not going to use it willy nilly.
I mean, I'm not necessarily stingy with my likes, but when I like someone's page and I decide to follow them,
Yeah,
I want to make sure that I can keep up with them.
that's a fair statement.
I don't want to, and I mean, you can't be all things to all people, so you have to sort of pick and choose who you want to follow.
Yep.
Right. For me, it's pretty easy. I follow every artist that's on our label. That's it. Right there. There's like 32 people I got to follow.
Yep.
And so whenever they're posting something, I try my best to boost their posts. Right. Try my best to interact with those posts. And to share those posts on groups that I belong to.
I played a little game that I started last month, and I found its help. Now sometimes it's a little one sided, but if somebody posts on Barstools, if they post their YouTube channel, I'll go and subscribe to it. And I think it was in the month of January, I subscribed to 42 different channels. And the reason why I did that is because people say, oh, well, it's very cumbersome. You got to put your email address in. Well, I found out it takes about 20 seconds on average to do. And if I can't give somebody 20 seconds out of my time when they're supporting me, then there's something wrong. And I started doing it, and I did start seeing some additions to our channel just from doing things like that.
Right. We actually have a a page called Indie Tunes Music Support.
A1.
And you can go to Indie Tunes Music Support, and you can you can join it, join the group. I think there's a couple of questions in there, and I typically don't let people join unless they answer the group questions, because they're not really difficult questions to ask. And some people want to join and they want to post on the group, but they don't want to answer the group question.
And it's 2 group questions. What's the name of Ken's band? What's the Ken Williams band last single?
No, I think it's something more like, I don't know, I can't remember what it is now because I use one of those automatic ones, but I think it is something like, please be respectful of other people's opinions on here. This isn't a place to be controversial or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? It's about supporting independent music. And so it's anybody who, it's for independent artists, it's for independent people that like independent music and want to be supporters of it. That's what the group is for. So if you want to join, if you love joining groups, it's a great group to join because people are always posting new music in there and other things that are going on. And I think we're, I don't know, 600-700 people in that group now, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a small group, but it's a group that could definitely use some growth over time. But I think it's an interesting, 616 members currently in that group. And then we're also recently started a private group for all of the artists on Indie Tunes Records, because we want to be able to do things like, some maybe online video workshops and some things like that can help our artists market their music and help them to get their music and get the most out of their music. And social media, getting back to this whole thing of social media and how important it is, I really think that before an artist starts releasing music, they have to have not only a decent following in social media, but they should already have some level of interaction.
So the first rule of social media for me, and I mean it's really simple. If you see a picture, so you're in a picture, Ken, of your former workplace, and there's say 40 people in the picture, what's the first thing you're looking for, or that you look at?
You just lost me, brother.
If you're in a group picture,
yeah,
right?
You're looking for your own picture.
You're looking for yourself.
Yeah, I want to see what I look like. Do I look like an idiot in that photograph?
Right. But my point is, people care about themselves the most. And so in
True.
social media, my first rule of thumb is I got to do something that's going to interest that person. That's not about me. That's about them, to try to get them to, actually want to support what I'm doing. And unfortunately, a lot of people,
such a selfless act.
Well, hey, challenge me on it. Look it up. I have people all the time. You're all about yourself. Well, I'm a little bit about myself, but I mean, I've got a group. I've got a huge group, Barstools and Band Talk, that I'll even promote people that are doing stuff on the same days of the week that I am, because I know that helps them, and I know that doing that will further my goals. So,
yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for some selfless stuff. I would say that. Even in terms of my band, our project Green Ink, it is one of the last things that I consider pushing. I make sure that everybody else's music is looked after and everyone else's needs are taken care of ahead of what I'm publishing for our, our musical project called Green Ink, because it's about helping other people to achieve those goals and those dreams. And we do a big chunk of that. The big chunk is stuff like, publishing the music, getting it ready to be properly published, and making sure that, all the important metadata is embedded not only in their tracks, but making sure that our artists have their music registered on all of the rights collections societies that are available to them.
Yeah, and that's one thing when I'm talking to people about Indie Tunes. It's like, I was talking to you today about this, and it's like, so what's your plan? well, I'm going to release my record on all streaming platforms, and I'm going to go to a couple record stores and put it in the record stores. And I'm going to get some okay, so you're doing what everybody else is doing, right? Pretty much. Where Indie Tunes doesn't do that. They do a lot more, and they actually, what you're trying to do, they're doing it in a way that's effective. And people kind of miss that sometimes. It's unfortunate, but there's this thing called the internet that people think they can be. It's like Joey on Friends. You go for a 15-minute thing and you get ordained as a minister to do a wedding, right?
How you doing?
You're right. All of a
How
sudden,
you doing?
all of a sudden you go on there and you become a label guy because you can find a few things out on Google, and not always the case. I mean, think about it, right? You got to write the songs, you got to record the songs, you got to learn to play the instrument, you got to sing it, you got to perform it. Oh, and then you got to push all that stuff in the background and do socials. And if you think you can handle it all and do it effectively, do a seminar and help the rest of us, because it's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be all things to all people. You can't be all things to all the things that are required of an artist. When you think about, when you think about all the back office that's done behind a major mainstream artist,
Mm-hmm.
there are tons and tons of people behind all of those scenes taking care of all that stuff. But that's one of the reasons why the artist is, to promote that album, spending, I don't know, upwards of $1 million.
Yeah, sometimes. Yep.
And all that is done to support that. But you got all those people in the background taking care of the socials. I mean, most people that are famous or have tons and tons of followers on social media, they're not the ones doing the publishing. Their publicists are doing all of the publishing on there, or the lion's share of the publishing, and they're doing other things to enhance what that person is doing on social media.
Yeah, no question. And I don't know why you go through the pain and the effort and the exercise of doing a recording, and and spending money. If you're spending money, you're spending a lot of money if you're spending money, and then at the end of it, going, and I'll say this, stating that when somebody says can't take feedback, I'm the I can't take feedback guy. However, I don't understand why you don't go to people that have already successfully done something. Instead, you decide you're going to do it on your own because you think you can do it better. That to me
No.
makes no sense. No sense
You're
whatsoever.
a guy yourself. I mean, you're really engaged in social media. I mean, I look at all the different posts you put on during the day during social media, and you make interesting posts that cause people to want to become engaged, either good, bad, or indifferent.
Yep.
But and you're not clickbaiting people. You're actually asking legitimate questions, and people have different varying opinions about those questions.
Well, yeah, and so a little secret, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I actually have people help me with those posts because, and I might, the night before say, okay, here's 5 topics that I'd like to tackle tomorrow. Help me write something and put it up. And the folks that I work with are great. So it's not like, hey, let me approve it. No, no, no. I trust you. Let's go with it. Then there's other times I might see something or somebody sends me an article, and I may, comment on it myself. And the idea is I keep the positive stuff on Barstools because I've always wanted that to be the place where people can go and feel safe and promote and all that stuff. If I want to not necessarily pick a fight with somebody, but if I want to make a case and I feel like there's an argument to be had, good, I'll put it on my um, page. And out of the I guess coaching of Michael Brandvold, who we have the absolute pleasure of having on here on a regular basis, I don't go looking
He's
for an
due again.
argument.
He's
Yeah,
actually due again. Yeah.
absolutely. But he's been great because I follow Michael, and he doesn't take anything off anybody on that 3 sides of the coin. Like it's like, and
Sometimes sometimes I mean, you know what? Sometimes it's almost hardcore watching some of the stuff going down on there, and it's like, people defend certain things that they believe in till, the end.
sure, but you already know what Michael's stance is going to be. So why do you think you're going to change his mind? And why
I,
do you poke the bear?
well,
I
I was gonna
don't
say,
get it.
are people poking people because they can, Or do they do it because they're not just looking for a reaction about that other person? They're looking for, I don't know, some sort of like, people go to Facebook for some of the weirdest reasons. Some people go there for self-validation.
Well, so
Like
I've
if I get enough likes, then people must like me.
well, I've got a friend that posts videos of him playing a certain instrument, and people will be like, "Oh, you're great, you're awesome," and he gets one bad piece of feedback, and he immediately just takes out the AK-47 and goes bananas. And so I said, "Why do you do that? Because everybody's not going to love you, and the guy that's like dumping on you might not even play an instrument. He might be a gamer, or he might be like, you don't know. So why bother? Now I have certain people that are on there, and their stance is, you put something out there, you got to expect. Well, you know what? Maybe, but I just don't know. And I've said this before. You put a post up. Why do we have to endure your opinion? So my favorite one is, this is my favorite Kiss album, and I'll say, Kiss Unmasked, for example. Oh, no, 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 this one. No, I said my favorite Kiss album. I don't want to be cranky like Michael Brandvold and say my favorite Kiss album. I don't care what you know what I mean?
It's really funny though. I mean, like I said, there's so many different reasons, and you're right. There's also that group of people on social media there just to poke the bear.
Yep.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah, absolutely.
they're the what do you what is the protagonist?
The protagonist or the contrarian or whatever you want
Yeah,
to call
yeah.
it.
There's always somebody on there that to challenge what you so you could say the sky's a nice shade of blue today, and somebody might say it's green.
Yeah, I mean, I had a guy. So we had a funny thing happen on the weekend. We had this weather warning go out on Friday night that there was going to be uh, heavy rain followed by the temperatures dropping. There was going to be a flash flood. And, the world was going to end. So the Metro Transit pulled the buses off the road at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon.
I
And
saw your post about that.
so anyway, I just simply posted, if you're expecting people to take the bus, um, why would you do that? And this guy comes on and he says, well, would you feel bad if somebody got hurt? Yeah, I would, just as bad as the person that I know that couldn't go to chemotherapy that day because the buses were taken off the road. So it's like,
Right.
don't come at somebody thinking that you're going to one up them, because the smart person that knows how to debate is not going to go, well, yeah, you're right, or take it personally. Like, it's just like, everything that I
You know,
post, it isn't just for me to go, okay, I'm going to throw it out there and watch 50 people fight. It's like, what I put out there, I will back. But if I'm wrong or somebody proves me wrong, I'm
right.
man enough to admit that.
I have to admit, it's funny how culture has changed over time, and culture has an impact on social media,
Yep.
and people's behavior on social media, and how people in social media will interact with people in music. I do want to say a couple of things quick. Bruce Hughes had a great point, and Terry Marsh. I want to share those here for everybody to see. Bruce says it all starts with supporting local as much as possible. It works in our music community here.
And Bruce is in Fredericton, and he's a very good buddy of mine. He's got a band there. They're called The Unheard. And when they play, their drummer, he's a Mapex drummer guy. Plays Mapex.
Nice.
So I got to get that in there. If you're going to do 50 pitches of your band in the show, I'm going to do 50 pitches of me. But all joking aside, they only play original material. So when they go out and play, that's what you get. And hey, you don't like it, don't show up. And they always have a good crowd, and they do good work. So thanks for showing up, Bruce.
Yeah, and Terry says it's the old "do I build it or buy it" conundrum.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that.
I think the reason that independent labels like ours exist is because we become some arms and legs. And as you were talking to get just a minute ago about your team, I thought I need a team just like that for Indie Tunes Records.
So
People that I can farm out some work to, so that we can manage all this huge amount of music that's coming in now. I mean, I just got finished doing five releases, and then I've got two pre-releases, and then there's two more pre-releases. You guys sent me one pre-release, and I've got another pre-release for He Said, She Said coming out. And I think there's another track coming out for a couple of other bands. So we could have like another, in this next wave, another 6 or 7 singles
Yeah.
all
And I
out
mean,
there.
the thing about building a team, I was really fortunate that Jason McCorson came and said, "Hey, look, I wanna help you out." And he's super talented. And the one thing that Jason, I basically said, "Look, I'm just right now doing this. It's a passion project." And he's like, "Whatever." So with Jason, my goal for him is always to try to get him. I mean, he's a fantastic video editor. He shoots great video. He's creative. Jason's actually getting work now, and it's like, go out, do it. Let me know how it goes. But I don't go like, hey, give me my cut. It's not like that. I've got a gal named Lisa Davis who's been with us now almost from the start, and Lisa's our moderator. And she'll send me messages a couple times a day, like, this guy posted the same thing 4 times. What should I do? What you should do, Lisa, is I'm fine with whatever you want to do. Because we got her on board to help because we trust her. Another guy
Yep.
named Jeff McPherson, who Jeff does a lot of funny little memes and little creative things, and
Yep.
and these are 3 key people, and then a few other people that help me out. And I mean, the worst kept secret of anybody that knows me is I am the best front man in terms of being out there and getting stuff done. But I need a lot of people to support me, or
Well,
I don't work.
to that end, I'm going to put a challenge out to some of our artists that are watching tonight, or maybe even not some of our artists that are watching tonight that would like to develop a relationship with Anytunes Records. I could really use some help with someone that knows something about website development. Now, I got a shitload of tools available to me to continue to build our website. And I've been assured by our web host that we can actually turn our website into a exclusive download and streaming service for independent music.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the size, we've got the bandwidth. I mean, we got all the right things going forward. But I have some limited knowledge when it comes to actually building a website. And I've got these dynamic toolboxes with all these great tools to expand our website. And I don't know shit about doing that stuff because I'm a musician, damn it, Jim.
Well, but you know what? The first all important step is admitting you don't know something and asking for
Yeah.
help, right?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I can do it, but it's like teaching an old dog really, really, really new tricks, and it takes a while for it, me to process it and figure it out because I don't know what certain things are and what they actually do and how they interact with the website.
yeah, and I like the analogy of walking across a minefield. Like, how do you walk across a minefield? Do you go yourself and maybe get killed or injured, or do you find out somebody that didn't walk in their footsteps and get across safely? And uh, I can never be accused of being overly bright, but that just makes so much sense to me. And I've been extremely what's that? Best little city. Yeah, Bruce says that all the time. Best little city, music city north of Nashville, and it is. I see Bruce all the time when I'm there. If you've never been to Fredericton, we play Dolan's Pub, a fantastic place. There's all kinds of neat little gitchy venues around that
Right.
they just support their music. But find somebody that's done it. Go ask some questions, and what you do is you ask the questions, and then you.
That's
listen.
right. Right. And those of you that are watching the show, if you're down from in the Windsor, Ontario area, somewhere down around between Leamington and Windsor, and you know of a really great trailer park where we could put our trailer this summer, because this year we're going to be starting 6 and 6, Sean.
Yeah. Well, we went from music publishing to trailer parks. Man, we covered a
That's
lot
right.
of ground
I
in the
mean,
show.
6 months in Nashville.
Yeah.
6 months down. 6 months down in Tennessee every year, and 6 months here. We're hoping to find a trailer park on or near the lake. My wife loves to be at beaches in the summertime, so we're looking down in the Leamington area for a trailer park to put our trailer. And I told her today I'm looking for a trailer / toy hauler that I can put my 2 motorcycles in the back of.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
Yeah.
you find something.
Yeah, so that would be our home for the summer, as well as our transportation back and forth over the border with our hauling the motorcycles with. It's a great way to haul away motorcycles and also, stay along the way if we decide to not make the trip all in one day.
Yeah. What is that? 9, 10 hours? I don't know how big of a drive is that?
Yeah, from Windsor, you can do it in about 8.5 hours if you live down in the Windsor area. But from our area here, it's an extra 2 hours, and then you got your border crossing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if the border crossing is slow that day, give yourself 2.5 hours. So you've already lost 2.5. Whereas if you're like already in that area, you're only giving up maybe 15 minutes. And if you go over the right time of the day at Windsor, you can get across like really super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, just putting it out, all that stuff out there. We've been talking about the impact social media has on all the different ways that the public interacts with social media. Sean, we were talking about people's level of engagement and how people can be engaged just by someone using some kind of thought provoking text when they make a post.
Yeah. So a publicist or a PR person that I deal with in the States, Jamie Roberts, she's out of New York. I interviewed one of her bands one night, and she came on and she said, "You guys get 700 new followers today on YouTube." And I was like, "Well, how did you do that?" And she basically told me what they did to do that, and it was very simple. They put a contest together where it's basically, subscribe and you have an opportunity to win this. And they ran it for a month, and I think they wound up getting, I don't know, 2,000 new subscribers at the end of the month, but 700 in one day. And I was like, that's a great idea. And so, do you mind if I do that? She's like, absolutely not. Those are the types of things you got to do to get people engaged, right? Because at the end of the day, people want to know what's in it for them. They like free stuff, and they want to win. And if you can figure out how to help them with those three areas, I think you're going to have some success.
Well, speaking of growth, today Indie Tunes Records YouTube channel went over 1,000 subscribers.
And what was it 2 weeks ago? 328 or something like that?
Yeah, 328 about 2 weeks ago. And so we've had this exponential growth this last little while. We've had some great content that's gone on our channel. We've had, if our number of views on one particular video on the YouTube channel were to match our subscribers, we'd have over 30,000 subscribers on our channel by now.
But I think if you were to dig into the whole analytics thing, which you love to do, I think you will see a correlation between the views of the artists and the subscribers. And that's important because anybody that builds or has built a YouTube channel, the first 1,000 is the hardest.
Yeah.
And once you get the first 1,000, it just seems to organically go.
Well, it's come well. I've changed a few marketing strategies, and through our website, we can actually run ads through Google.
Yep.
And so running ads through Google is not very expensive if you actually do it right, and you're trying to market something. So one of the things I've been trying to do is grow our YouTube channel. You've been instrumental in helping with that. Up until we hit the 308 or the 328. You were responsible for a good 2/3 of that.
Well, it was a real simple thing, though. I mean,
you were just asking people to subscribe. You were doing a call to action.
Right. It's really simple. If you think that somebody is doing a good job, why not broadcast that? And back to Halifax in the 90s. It was a hell of a time musically for me because I wasn't part of that whole grunge movement.
Right.
But the success that they had was a direct result of those bands all supporting each other.
So here's what I want you and Jason to do.
Yeah.
I would like you guys to do a call to action video for my YouTube channel.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be long.
Okay.
Right. But those salient points that you just espoused right there in terms of, things that are really important when it comes to this stuff. I really think that that's something that would resonate with people.
Well, hopefully, because, one of the things, and again, the proof's in the pudding and your actions speak, but you could sit there and say, anybody that's watching this or will watch this over the next couple of weeks that's never met me, oh well, he's just saying that. But if you're around me, this is what I do because I've always been taught by people a lot smarter than me that if you want to get to where they are, you got to help a lot of people, and you will eventually get there. And
Right.
it's not, not to sound cheesy and not to sound Pollyanna and whatever, but those are success principles and universal principles that have been around longer than you and I. So, instead of digging in and being jealous because somebody gets ahead of you, share their channel, because guess what? There might be somebody that joins that didn't know about you that all of a sudden has a huge group of people that start signing up to what you're
Right.
doing, right?
Well, Terry Marsh said pizza just arrived, so he's gonna be heading out for the night. But Terry, if you're still there, you've been voluntold. I hear you know lots about websites.
Yeah, and you get all the pizza you can eat.
And the porn websites don't count.
Oh my!
Well, I had to put that in there. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, right? All right. So the whole thing about this social media thing that and I think we barely cracked into it. We're like 53 minutes in, Sean, and I know I took us down a couple of rabbit holes
You
tonight.
know what though? This is a series, right? This isn't a 1 hour conversation because I learn new stuff every day from people. And again, like there's a guy I talk about him all the time, Matt Starr. So Matt Starr's, he just played on Ace Frehley's new album. He's a, he's a coach. He coaches people to be successful, and Matt's got some things that are based upon real life stuff that he's done. And so again, well,
read that read that comment.
we do have an OnlyFans. That's
Yeah,
fans only.
they have an OnlyFans. You know what OnlyFans is, right?
No.
I'll go read up on OnlyFans and educate yourself, and then you can bring it to next week's show.
Sounds to me like it's something that I don't want to do.
Will you pay a lot of OnlyFans accounts? I think you pay someone to do something in front of you.
All right.
I don't think we'll get into I don't think we'll get the detail. I don't think we'll get the detail.
Already then. Yeah. I yeah, I
Um,
don't.
so does social media, is there an actual correlation between an artist's social media presence and their album sales or digital music sales according to data? What do you think?
Yes.
Yes. The
100%.
answer is yes. For 38% of musicians, Facebook views had a significant effect on album sales. 38%, that's an important number to remember.
Yep. Yep.
So if your Facebook interaction, your Facebook views are correlated to your digital sales, and you can improve your digital sales by 38% just by your presence on Facebook alone and by proper interaction. Now, the important thing to remember is that look at the demographic of the people that are actually using Facebook.
Yep.
Okay? Look at the demographic of the people that are actually using Instagram.
Yep.
You know there's a huge difference there, right?
There is, and we didn't pre-rehearse this, but I always get a kick of the line. We want to build out our demographic. Well, what
Yeah.
does that mean exactly? Right?
Oh, it's so much. There's another rabbit hole.
Well, but what is your demographic? I was dealing with a band. I won't say who it is. I get a answer a text from them when we get done this immediately after. But where their line was, we want to build out our demographic. Okay, so what does that mean? Is it like you're going to be like the 53-year-old dating the 20-year-old demographic? Are you looking for people with money? Are you looking for people that what is your demographic? And the problem is, and I say this to people all the time, can you help me? Well, sure. What's your goal? What's your strategy? Well, I don't know. Well, then I don't know, because
Yeah.
half the time I don't know what mine is. So if you don't know what it is, so what is your demographic?
So here's an interesting demographic for you. Okay. And someone made the comment to me. This is about Brent Durner's latest video, I'd Hide a Body for You. Okay?
Love it.
What a great video, man. Done totally with AI. He coached AI through the whole process of making the video. And I think he's got it down to an art now. Like he's really starting to refine. This is his second AI video, and I think it's even better than the first one.
Yep.
But the interesting demographic there is the older people that test viewed the video didn't like it as much as the younger people, right?
Gee,
Then
go figure.
and then I had someone say to me, well, why would you want it? Why would you want you're an older artist? Why would you want to appeal to a whole bunch of young people? They're the next generation
Right, because
interacting with your music.
you need somebody to buy your records, like when other people go away. Like it's I. So there's a couple of things, and one of the things that Brent did about that I thought was really smart. You have you see it oftentimes where the 80-year-old man's trying to act like he's 20, and he's and it's like, and Brent didn't do that. He just put it forward, and it's like, it's hip, it's cool, it's new. And I'm by no means am I saying Brent's 80, but what he did is he dialed into something that is resonating with that younger audience, because their attention span is very short. It's very
Here
short.
and here's the interesting thing. Do you know that some of his best watch time is from that demographic, age 18 and up?
Well, we were talking about
Well,
this today,
so
Ken.
he's got millennials, he's got Gen Zers who are watching his videos. This is a guy that's old enough to be their dad, or some cases their grandfather. But the great thing about it is that his music, the actual tracks, interact with a whole other demographic.
True, but here's the thing, man. And there's a thing called YouTube Studio, which Jason McCorson put me onto. And if you're not using it, please do, because it's
Yeah.
brilliant. I was on it a few weeks ago, and I was telling you this today. My demographic was 100% for a 28-day period in the 45 to 54 range, which told me my age group is all that was watching my channel. And I said, okay, I got to mix that up. I got to do some things. So I targeted a couple things to try to do it. 18 to 24 is now at 19%. 25 to 34 is my biggest group at 55%. 35 to 44 is 18%. 45 to 54, that huge demographic that all I had, 100%, is now 6.7. I'm not trying to alienate them, but you gotta spread it out, man, and you gotta know what your that's demographics, right? And if you don't know what they are, you're just throwing caution in the wind, man.
And so your demographics are also really important when it comes to marketing your music on social media, and also taking a look at what medium you're actually going to use to interact with people. So if you're trying to get the attention of younger, a younger crowd, and you're trying to engage that younger demographic in your music, then you've got to use a medium like AI or something like that to grab their attention, and something that will hold their attention long enough they go, oh, I like this, I want to interact with this, yes, I want to subscribe, and I want to get notifications every time they post new stuff.
Right. And I mean, the one thing that a lot of people don't get, I mean, talking the first time with Rick Emmett, and he was talking about one of my favorite songs is a song called Say Goodbye. It's the last song on Allied Forces. Did you ever play it live? Only in one market. Why is that? Because it got huge radio play. Nowhere else it resonated. Therefore, they were picking their set list based upon analytics that they were getting from radio play and whatnot. That was in the 70s and 80s, right? So this isn't a new thing. It's just all of a sudden, it's the Moneyball thing. It's the last 10, 15 years. But it's a helpful tool. And again, if when somebody says we want to, expand our demographic, well, what is your demographic?
What I really want to do is talk about how you exploit demographics, and you take a look at various analytics. And so I'm gonna spend some time online with you at some point, if I can ever grab you for enough time to show me how to go through my analytics. Because you know me, I love the numbers, and I like to figure out how I can improve those numbers. But I mean, just breaking down our analytics really quickly, we've got a really great spread of age groups that listen or watch our videos on YouTube, and that group ranges from age 18 all the way up to 65. But our mean tends to be that 18 to 55 years of age.
Well, and I mean, once you see them, you can jump in a little bit further and figure out why they are what they are. So, I mean, I was
Well,
telling
and
you
it,
one today. Well,
it's a
so
nice curve. It's a really nice curve. When I look at the amount of interaction that we're looking at, and the views in terms of the demographic match the watch hours, which is really interesting.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I was telling you today. Remember, I told you earlier. My in the last 7 days, my biggest audience is in the in like the Asian, like Vietnam, that area.
Right.
Why? I finally figured out why. My biggest viewed video is a video that I did almost 9 months ago with Mick Brown, the former drummer of Docking, and it got picked up on some internet wire 2 weeks
Right.
ago. And all of a sudden, people in Vietnam who hadn't seen it before are going, "Who is this guy in Halifax, Nova Scotia?" Vietnam was first, the United States was second, and Canada 33, 31, Canada 16%. So my people, apparently, I didn't do enough to engage them the last 7 days because they're at 16% of my views.
Well, we're barely scratching the surface on this topic. We're already over the hour, and I mean, there are just so many places. Andy McNamara says drowning analytics. Absolutely right. There's so many analytics available to you, but it's important to pay attention to the ones that actually matter because there are different ones depending on how you want to target your market and find that market for your music. That's extremely important. Then you go after that market on social media and engage those people on social media. And you would think that a brand new release from an artist who has 10,000 followers on Facebook would result in 10,000 views.
No, not the case at all.
Ah, but um, there is a young lady who has been on the show once before. I want to try and get her on again. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I knew that the little girl from was it London area or whatever.
Up around the Arthur area. Her name is Madison Galloway,
Yeah.
and she has a really really great way of interacting with all of her followers, and she makes money off her tip jar when she does her shows on Sunday. She does a show every Sunday. I think she started doing it back during COVID and just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And she has thousands of people that view her live streams. It's extremely well done. This is a young lady who really understands her market and people that are supporters. She has people who are, putting money in her tip jar who are supporting her choice to become a full-time musician.
So here's my thing about that, and that's great. And what I'll say is, uh, people in her age group, kids in her age group, get it. When somebody sends you a video of a 8-year-old kid playing Eddie Van Halen flawlessly, uh, and they go, "Isn't that great?" My answer is, it should be great because they can find how to do it everywhere in a million different spots. It's not like
Right.
the way we had to learn. So these kids are embracing this stuff. So when somebody says, "I'm old school," well, be old school. The old school's not around
Well,
anymore, right?
here's an interesting thing though, because she has a demographic of followers that are older people. Because if you listen to her and watch her perform, she has sort of this old soul approach, right? That almost any age group that could get into what she's doing would listen to her music, and she's got a lot of dedicated followers. I mean, and that is through ongoing social interaction on social media and making herself available to her followers.
Well, it's whether you like it or not. I interviewed a gentleman who does a podcast festival every year in Nashville, oddly enough, and you know, his message was, if you think you're going to do it, like the viral takeoff is rare. Somebody mentions Joe Rogan. Well, Joe Rogan had the UFC platform that they put money into and whatever. Somebody scanned the QR code, Ken. Da, 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 da. Um, but when you said tip jar and they scanned the QR code, that's amazing. But so the whole viral sensation is rare. It's like getting drafted in the NHL rare, right? So you really have to hammer at it, but you have to do it because you like it. Because I'm telling you right now, man, it's not an easy way to make money. You can definitely make money at it. but you got to do a lot of work.
Right. And like I say, when you look at correlations, she is one artist that on her Spotify has a decent correlation between her social media follows and her digital music sales. So, there are a lot of her followers on social media who are going over and supporting her by downloading or streaming her music off of download and streaming services.
Absolutely. One point I'm going to make, though, as it
Yep.
relates to that, because sometimes people get a little mixed up. You can go and go to the person that's getting 5 million views, a live stream, or say they're doing a talking cooking. They get 5 million people tuning in the talking cooking. Well, if they're doing a cooking show and you're doing a show on changing engine parts, you can get all the information you want, but it's probably not. Some of it's going to translate, but the end result's probably not going to be the same. So you got to find somebody that's successful in what you're doing and pick their brain, and that's very important because it should translate, but it often doesn't because there's just people's attention spans and what they react to and stuff. It's a difficult judge. You got to find the right people to talk to about it.
Yeah, I mean, here's an interesting thing. Boiler Beach, I'll give them as an example. They released 2 singles last year in 2023, one in January and one in May. And to date, those 2 singles have generated, just on Spotify alone, about 40,000 streams.
Yep.
Right? So that's a decent return on investment, considering they have a modest following on social media.
Well, but again, it's if something resonates with people, and I mean, I love this example. I said it to you today, right?
Yep.
Building a YouTube channel is tough. How can I prove it to you? Well, I've got a good amount of followers. You can't see all my followers on the front page, but I get a good amount of followers. But the watch time from people, my non-subscribed people are 93.6% of all my watch time. My subscribers are 7.1%. So what does that tell you? I got some work to do, but people are not just going to sign up. If they're getting something for free, man, you gotta prove it to them before they're gonna hit subscribe.
Right.
So
I'm gonna bait everybody for next week's episode. We're not gonna say any more because we're already like 10 minutes over the hour. A great subject, the correlation between social media and digital music sales, and the talk is going to go on. We're going to expand this into to next week's episode as well. Let's see. Now next week, if everything is according to plan, it would be our friend Brian Vollmer returning for another episode. So I'll have to confirm that with you for next week. If Brian's with us next week, then Sean and I'll return on the 13th of March.
And Brian's going to do a reel for me that we can't talk about.
That's right. I'm going to ask Brian to do a reel for you.
Yeah.
And then on the 20th, we have Jason Dozer, who makes custom microphone stands for the Stars.
That's cool.
Who is a front man in a very successful Van Halen and Def Leppard tribute that often play shows back to back. And they play all over. They tour all over the southern states. They had just got finished playing down in Florida, I think.
Nice.
And so an interesting group of guys in there because different guys in the band have other day jobs and other indie bands. So an interesting thing there. So next week, we're going to talk about this one. This is the cliffhanger for next week. The future of music is Wikipedia?